rather than where you have to go extra mile and try to be aggressive mode of fitness regimes. Right? It was first of a kind solution. Right? There is no benchmarking which we can do against. From bringing it from idea to the first, which we call a prototype, right? Prototype itself took us almost 6 to 9 months because it has gone through multiple iterations, right? Rather than fitness, you are looking for a holistic solution where you have mind, body and metabolism, everything together.
Hello and welcome to yet another episode of GIBS IRE brought to you by GIBS Business School, a place where innovation meets inspiration. When we have any wellness related or health related issues, one thing we quickly go to is the quick fix methods that are available on internet or chemical based products. But there is always an elderly advice at home, at every home probably, to look at Ayurveda. Why don't you resort to Ayurveda, which could be which is our ancient, comes from ancient wisdom and is a time-tested one. But for most of us, Ayurveda looks like an esoteric science and not fit for our modern times. And probably many times we think that Ayurveda will not work for quick remedies. But making us wrong and changing the paradigms that we have, here we have with us today Mr. Sandeep Acharya, who has been who is a co-founder and partner and AyuRythm's, director of AyuRythm's, and has taken Ayurveda to the masses through digital solutions. And we are happy to have you here today, sir. Welcome to GIBS podcast show. Sandeep Acharya may not be new to many of you if you are a short tank enthusiast, and Sandeep Acharya, we will have an interesting conversation with Sandeep. Is it okay if I call you Sandeep?
Yeah, definitely.
We will have an interesting, engaging conversation with Sandeep, getting to know the entrepreneurial journey that you have taken and the challenges and insights that you have gathered on the way, which could be helpful to us. Sure. Let me start with first things first, your journey, life, how it has started. And was there an entrepreneurial streak in you in the early years, which others could see in you, and how it all started? Even before starting, what were you doing? And I think you had a lucrative career before starting it. Can you dwell on it a bit?
Absolutely. First of all, thanks for inviting me for this particular talk, and love to be here. In terms of my journey since the beginning, I grew up in Indore. It's the cleanest city in India currently for the last 7 years. So it's a vibrant and bubbly city. I was like a happy-go-lucky kid who was focusing on bit on studies and bit on cricket. Okay. Always, right? As most of the Indian boys go through, right? We always focus, we try to balance our studies and a passion towards the cricket during those times. I am from the generation where cricket and football and the outdoor games were the talk of the town during those times. So during schooling and all, I was a decent student. Okay. As I say, moved from schooling, I did my engineering from Indore itself. I got selected in SGS Ideas Indore, one of the premier institute for engineering in MP. Post my computer engineering, I did MBA in finance from Mumbai, from Sidham Institute of Management. And that was the kind of combo people used to look forward to, engineering and an MBA. So I did that, and then started my corporate journey. But in corporate journey, I spent almost a decade in the field of data analytics. I started my career from Infosys, got placed after my MBA, the campus placement, got placed in Infosys, started building credit risk models for auto finance clients, moved from Infosys to HSBC, worked for pricing and marketing analytics team, again building solutions for customer segmentations, mostly driven by statistical analysis and all. Moved from HSBC to Genpact, now where I got introduced to the world of healthcare and medical devices. So
that is interesting, because I was coming to that. You have an engineering degree in computer science, and then you went on to have a very lucrative and good career in IT sector.
Yeah.
And how is that you have hit upon the idea of starting a company which is remotely connected to what you have been doing? That's what I could guess before I could get from you. You had a stint in healthcare as well. But is it a kind of serendipity that you landed on AyuRhythm, or it's by design that it happened?
So, in my early days, as I said, that I was exposed to the healthcare and wellness in terms of the Western world, the method of that, and which is totally data driven. And I was being data driven, as you can see from my education background, a bit of engineering and MBA in finance. So it's number driven. So always focused on that numbers drives the businesses. Right. So from there, when I moved from Genpact to US for a couple of years for one of the clients, I spent a couple of years in US to building their pricing and marketing analytics processes. But during that journey, right, there was always a nag, right? You always have that I could do something of my own. There was always a feeling, right, that you should, I have to build something of my own, and I was always looking for the ideas and discussion, conversation goes along with friends and all that, what can be done. My other two co-founders, we were neighbors in Bangalore, one of the society we stayed in. We are neighbors, and we are cricket buddies also. So in our society it was prevalent, right, to every weekend we used to play cricket also. And when I was in US, I was always in touch with Abhilesh, who is another co-founder. We were always connected, and we were discussing that what should we do. He was also, his family was in Bangalore, but he used to be the director of one of the biggest spinning mills in Tirupur, down south. He was heading the director and CEO for that particular company, and he also wanted to come back to Bangalore, and we were discussing about the ideas, and I was coming back from US. So when I came back from US, and the third co-founder, Ram, he comes from the industry itself, the healthcare and medical devices. Almost both of them have 25 years of experience. Ram is in the hardcore technology driven businesses, scaling business development for MNCs into health and medical devices domain itself, and Abhilesh comes from the hardcore sales and marketing background, leading teams. As I say, he was the CEO of the spinning mills there down south. So that conversation led that, once I moved back to India, we always look towards the healthcare. So in one or the other way, all three of us are exposed to the healthcare ecosystem. Abhilesh was an avid user of healthcare gadgets, so he reduced his weight. So his journey is as a user. I comes from the data side of it, so how the data brings the insights within the business, what kind of things you should look for, how you approach, how you look for the customer insights and all. And Ram comes from the hardcore tech side of it, along with the product development side of it. So there was a complementary skill sets, and we were discussing health, that what we should do. When we look for health as such, when we look during that time in 2018, when our discussions started and everything, it was flooded by gadgets, right? Everything was around fitness, like you have to do calorie counting, you have to do step tracking, there was Fitbit, there were Garmin watches, and everything was there. Ayurveda is one side, when all as an Indians, everybody is exposed to it in one way or the other. So when we were doing this, there was a camp of a Nadi Pariksha. If you have heard of the pulse diagnosis, which a Vaidya put 3 fingers on your radial artery and started talking about your health. So there was a camp, and 3 of us, we saw that, that Vaidya is doing something. Till that, we had the knowledge of Ayurveda by the word that Ayurveda is about herbs and all these things, and yoga, pranayama. But we didn't know that what goes behind that, behind the scene, what's the complexity involved, right? So when that Vaidya was
brings up a question in me, whether you got hit on the idea first, or you went about working on a problem, like you said, there were too many gadgets around, people were using many things. Was that the problem that you were trying to solve?
So I call it a chicken and egg, whether your idea came first or the problem came first. I think both the things were there. We were seeing that around us, like we were into the corporate world, and you see that people struggle to maintain their health and wellness. And it's like once you start on aggressive mode of fitness regimes, you run and all, but you cannot sustain for a longer period of time. So everybody around us in the similar age group, friends and colleagues and all, were looking for wellness solutions, which can be part of their daily routine, rather than where you have to go extra mile and try to be aggressive mode of fitness regimes, right? Rather than fitness, you are looking for a holistic solution where you have mind, body and metabolism, everything together, a holistic wellness solution, right? Which Ayurveda provides. But to access how you can embrace it and make part of your daily life was the challenge which we are seeing that people want to see. And at the same time, as I said, that Vaidya, when he came for that Nadi Pariksha camp, started talking and when see that it is still manual in nature, right? It's untouched by technology. In Ayurveda, if you see,
that was the moment probably
we saw that, now the question is, when he is talking something about our health just by manual assessment, can we do a digitalization of that thing, right? That was the moment. Being an engineer, right? All three, we are engineer, and from the business side, we feel that, if you look, it intrigued us, and then we try to start building the hypothesis, then can we digitize it? Is it a technology angle can we bring and then take it and democratize the Ayurvedic wellness? That was the kind of...
that is interesting. Again, getting an idea is something. It is about having an idea and working together with the friends. But the thing is, making it happen, bringing it to an execution, to see a venture happening from that idea, takes a lot of iterations and steps where you go through many things. Can you dwell on that a bit so that we understand the journey that you had taken through when after hitting upon the idea and bringing it to a fruition stage?
Rightly pointed out. I think idea, it's, as we say, like idea is 1% and rest 99% is execution. So now when the idea hit, now you have to do the feasibility analysis, right? Whether it is possible or not, the kind of resources you have, the kind of skill sets you have, can you bring that idea to life? So when our journey started, we also had done multiple iterations, right? And all three come as we are not from Ayurveda background itself, right? And we are trying to bring technology to the Ayurvedic solutions. We have to talk to the ecosystem very well, and it was first of a kind solution, right? There is no benchmarking which we can do against. So our gold standards were the good Ayurvedic practitioner and the Nadi Parikshak, Vaidyas. So to approach and to reach to a correct set of Ayurvedic practitioners and who have the appetite for technology to be part of Ayurvedic wellness, right? So you have to convince them in for two levels. First is that technology embracement, and the second is that this technology is giving you the correct assessment which can help them to bring a better outcome for the patient. So the execution played a major role, and it has gone through multiple iterations. It was because we had to, when we started, we were also thinking of creating a band and all, but we delved deeper and figure out that it's a capital intensive business, inventory intensive, you have to build, and there are multiple iterations. What could be the alternative source of making it available to masses at a we say barely minimal cost or a cost impact, right? Because adoption, for giving it adoptions, how can you make it to the masses? Because you have to keep it the cost in check and everything. So that's how the ideation is started. After ideation, it's gone into execution, but the execution from bringing it from idea to the first, which we call a prototype, right? Prototype itself took us almost 6 to 9 months because it has gone through multiple iterations. And we brought it to the mobile phone, which was unheard of from anyone, that how can you do an Ayurvedic assessment of your mind, body and metabolism, which they talks about three things.
How long would that process?
So it took us almost 6 to 9 months to build our first prototype itself, that it can be done via the phone itself. And then we gone into talking to the experts, the Ayurvedic experts and all, to get a first level of feeler, right? Because they are the ones who can give you a certificate. The kind of, in the certificate, they are the validations for us, right? Because there is no benchmark or there is no tool before us against which we can benchmark our solution or the results which we are getting. So we had to go to them, and then we were fortunate also that along the way we met some visionary Ayurvedic experts and the institutions who were ready to adapt, right, to that technology can be embraced properly, and you have the technology and Ayurvedic principle amalgamation, right? So when you're bringing technology, you have to be very conscious that the Ayurvedic principles behind it, you're not putting it at the back end, right? Because that Ayurvedic principle need to be part of cohesively along with technology. Can it work together? That was one of the major challenge in our early journey, just to create that.
Considering that you went to pitching the product within a short time, quite early, considering the kind of journey that you had taken. What do you think should be the criteria for pitching? What stage of your product development or a venture that you should get into that?
So I'll quote the Ayurveda itself.
And you have secured a successful deal as well, even if though it has been early.
So we have learned, like Ayurveda talks about that one pill for all is not the case. So similarly, to your question, right, there is no one solution or the one model fits for all the entrepreneurs or the startups, and it varies from stage to stage we are into. When we started building pre-COVID. So we also pivot within the COVID period itself. We had to tune our solution in such a way, because whatever market research or the customer insights we generated before reaching to a target customers and how we mold our product for whom we are creating the product in the early days, what very different when we actually hit the market during the COVID. So when we started our prototyping and everything, we were building for the consumers who are 35 years plus age group, because from our surveys and all, we had done a 10 question survey for almost 600 odd people and figured out that these are the people who will adopt to this lifestyle, right? But when COVID hit, I think Ayurveda became the word for the entire India, right? So everybody were aware that Ayurveda, Kada and everything became the household name, right? So when we launched our product, we launched in the middle of pandemic actually. We got delayed because of COVID. Our go-to market, our launch got hit by almost 4 to 6 months. So we have seen that at a very early stage we are hit by an unknown, right? There was a chaos, right? Kind of, because what COVID brings, right? Everything in the lockdown, and we were also in the building stage. We were planning to launch our solution in February of 2020, February, March. But then we have seen what happened in March onwards, and we hit the market in the month of July actually. So we were delayed. And when we launched our solution, our idea was to gauge the early adopters and see that who are the people who are actually using and what are they using it for, right? Like when the rubber hits the road, right? Actually, you have all the plans and the insight, but actually when you launch the product in the market, you will get the real insights for the kind of people who are using it, right? So before Shark Tank, we were studying our growth. We were close to 100,000 downloads when we were pitching in Shark Tank. We were gradually increasing, but by that time, before hitting the Shark Tank, the tank and the pitch itself, we got some of the insights already in our kitty, right? So we knew that who are our target segment, who are the people who are using, what are they using for, and we already fine-tune our algorithms and everything, because it's a technology-driven solution, right? So which always evolves, right? You always get better with data. So that's what we were using it. So when we ventured into the tank, we were sure that what we have built is working. And because we were building a novel idea and in a very novel fashion, right? Because of the phone, unheard of, right? So can a phone detect this kind of pulse and everything just by placing a finger on the mobile phone camera? Can it be done? We had the proof point by that time. Right?
There's the kind of confidence level that you need to be in so that you can pitch in the product.
And before that, were fortunate in the sense that the collaborations which we got before the Shark Tank also played a major role. Okay. We were part of Lumos Health Accelerator, which was driven by Healthcare Global, the Cancer Care Hospital, and Antil Ventures. And Antil Ventures was our pre-seed investors also. So we already had, just before the launch, we had that kind of validation from a cancer care hospital of our technology, because that's the selection criteria, because they tested our solution whether it works or not and all, and then they selected us in that accelerator. So we had that confidence that our technology worked. So one side is from the institution side of it, we had the backing, a kind of a certification, and then when we launched, we had the customer love. So both the things were playing part together. So when we were in the tank, we were confident enough that our solution works and it will get better over the period of time. But yeah, Shark Tank was a different experience altogether for us also, because it was the first season. Being a technology, so what we know about Shark Tanks and everything during that time, right, it was always a D2C driven business, right, platform. Like the D2C brand, people can see, people can purchase, and people can experience, eat, use and everything. So we were also not sure that whether we will be part of the tank or not, because it's a technology solution, right, it's an app where people have to download and everything. So we had that inhibition also, but we had gone with the mindset that we are bringing something new, and which is a traditional, traditional thing coming out of India.
But how is the conviction about it? A traditional Ayurveda system which has been there for centuries or eons, and bringing it to the modern world where there could be an apprehension about the acceptability. How did all at your age group, probably, how did you get this conviction of taking it to the masses?
So one of the thing is there is a belief, which comes from, because what we have seen with yoga, right, if you see that whatever Indian heritage we have so many things, right, which are being practiced from thousands of years, right, whether in terms of pranayama, whether in terms of yoga and all, it goes to the West first. They adapt it, right, and they package it, and then they send it back, and then the Indians adopt it, right. So there is a what I personally feel might not be true in the current generation, but the generation before, there is always that inhibitions or the inferiority that the systems which are built within India are not effective or efficacious. It's so what we felt that when we bring technology, when we bring a data-driven approach to these solutions, right, it will become more robust and it will give the kind of respect it deserves, right. So what we have seen that Ayurveda is practiced over the period of time, and now going to the labs for efficacy, validations and everything, which is driven by government also now. But in the Western side of it, they go to the lab and then comes out to the market, and because they have the numbers and everything, and then they push it to the market, so people trust it blindly. But in Ayurveda, it's started with a belief. People experience, there are lots of cases, the anecdotes are there that people have seen the correct, but because of the non-standardization, the way you said it, right, the way you were saying that the belief system, it's personal belief versus can you back it by data. So that is what we are trying to bring it, that Ayurveda is maybe so far didn't get the data backing, on which we are trying to bring it to the masses. When we are positioned.
Another curious question that comes to my mind is this. I teach entrepreneurship as a part of our IRE program. We have an innovation research and entrepreneurship program. We teach a number of tools and methods and techniques for bringing the idea into fruition. Probably like DFE mapping, desirability, feasibility, viability, or putting the business model canvas in place before going to put the idea into action. But do you as an entrepreneur see all these actions as a part of entrepreneurial process, or they can be given a go by and you can go ahead with that?
So I believe everything plays a role. Whatever we are learning, plays a role, but at what point of time, what stage of the company, what stage, the kind of decisions you have to make. So in a startup, when we were building in 0 to 1 phase, which is a very early stage, some of the things you don't have the luxury of data at your hand, right?
Yes.
Most of the things are mostly gut based. Most of the things are customer feedback driven. You might not have the correct set of data or the volume of data. You might have only 10 data points and you have to make the decision. Okay, so that's why it becomes a very iterative process. Okay, it becomes iterative because you have to go back to the drawing board. This is the feedback coming, you take that feedback and then again put the things in front of the customer very fast, rather than waiting to have a perfect solution, because you will not have the perfect solution because you don't have the luxury. You don't have luxury of time, you don't have luxury of resources. But yeah, over the period of time when you are going from 1 to 10 journey, okay, this all tools and processes plays a major role, because then you have to become more efficient, right? So processes plays a major role, that if you can automate certain things, you can follow a process and you can give those tools to your team members.
Absolutely.
Right. So then it's good. And when you go from 10 to 100, there are different kinds of challenges and all. So it's like challenges are always there, but the kind of challenges you face over the journey from 0 to 1, 1 to 10 and 10 to 100s are different. And all these processes which which I learned during my business days, what I learned during my corporate days and everything, the theory and practicality, there are differences. But whatever you learn, I think in one way or the other,
somewhere
you will be able to use.
The dots connect.
Yeah,
eventually.
Somewhere. Nothing goes waste. I feel that whatever we have learned, in one way or the other, it helped. But most of the people, right, it says that just the common thing comes, right? There is a meme which always flows around, like the Pythagoras theorem. I never used that Pythagoras. What will I do? But yeah, it's a part of the curriculum, because it plays because you cannot design a curriculum for every one individual, right? The curriculum is for the masses, where someone or the other will use it. But yeah, that plays a major role, because it gives you a kind of a model, a mental model, where you can put things and think. Maybe you are not able to use 100%. Right now you may be able to use it for 50% of the things, but maybe over the period of time, at least gives you the processes helps, because when you are building businesses which you have team members, till the time we are founders and a very close group, close team, we can work fast, we can take decisions very fastly and get together in a table, 5 people, 6 people, and take the decision. But when you are increasing your sizes, hundreds of employees and all, processes plays a major role.
Absolutely. Sandeep, I have a couple of questions more. With that, we'll wind up. Now that you have come to a stage, you can look back with a sense of accomplishment and see how things have been and how things have come to. So what has changed in Sandeep and how things are now?
So the sense of accomplishment is there in terms of that what we were able to achieve and the kind of recognitions we get. We believe that we have built something which have an impact on people, which is helping people to make their lives better. Whether it's in the B2C sides or when we started our B2B solutions also, when we are working with doctors and all, which doctors started using our technology. That gives a sense, but as I say, it's a work in progress. We still consider ourselves, we are still a work in progress, and there are a lot of skills and a lot of things which we feel that we have to learn and do in our business per se. Over the period of times, I gained a lot of other skills which I was not when I was working in a corporate skill. It's data analytics, this is the domain, this is the thing which you have to work for. But when you work as an entrepreneur, you gain multiple skills over the period of time. It says like you become a T-shaped kind of a skill person, because you have horizontally, you have acquired so many things. There is deep down, you have one which is the core, but you have to gain multiple skills over the period of time. But I feel accomplished in the sense that the recognition which is provided by multiple people. So we were fortunate enough that we became part of Apple Design Accelerator. We became part of Google AI Accelerator, Google App Skill Academy. So the kind of feedbacks we got over the period of time, the kind of support we got from the ecosystem also played a major role in what we have achieved so far. But in the sense, in the back of mind, we are still work in progress. So that whatever we have achieved, I think there is a lot more to achieve and a lot more to give it back in terms of the best solution.
Yeah, certainly we should congratulate you on that. And having been successful in whatever you have taken, what is that one or two giveaways that you would like to give to the aspiring entrepreneurs?
So what I will say is that if you're starting your entrepreneurship journey, be aware of the fact that there will be a lot of chaos. Always your eagerness to learn should be there. You have to keep learning, you have to keep upskilling yourself. On top of it, there need to be a dash of recklessness. I say because it's a risk-taking ability, because if you are not very risk-savvy and all, things will not go as per plan. Whatever the plan you will make, it will change and it will evolve. That's what we say, that you have to learn, you have to churn the things which will happen over the period of time, because you are in this for a long game, right? So you have to be persistent. The perseverance and the resilient will play a major role in your entrepreneurship journey.
Thank you very much, Sandeep, for the interesting conversation. With that, we come to the close of getting to know yet another entrepreneur in our Ayuri Talks. Thank you for being such a wonderful audience, and thank you, Sandeep Acharya, for the wonderful conversation we had. As I sign off this episode, just a reminder, viewers, don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our GIBS IRE Talks, GIBS Business School, and to stay updated on our upcoming episodes and news from us. I am Bharat Gopalan, your host of this IRE Talks, powered by GIBS Business School, a place where innovation meets inspiration.